we had the American church showing respect towards the gospel community, seeing the trauma that the country's been through, through COVID, and then with the Floyd situation last week and the riots and whatever, they turned to the church and said, Kirk, Fred, this week, can you do the verses? Yeah, because we need this as Swiss Beat and Timbaland, who put that platform up. They turned to two gospel artists to do this. It was amazing. Like over 200. I was on it hit about 290,000 at one stage. Yeah, just all on the live stream, and then you got the people playing it back later. Now, I'm not gonna put you in a spot. Who do you prefer, Kirk or Fred? Because I know you can say Fred. But go. What you gonna say? What would you say, Fred? Both. Okay, that's politically correct. You see, me personally, I'm a Kirk. Go on. So why would you say both? What Fred and Kirk? Okay, tell them, because obviously you've played both from the beginning. So which ones? What's so good about them?
If you had to push me into a corner, I would go with Fred, but I both of them. Well, Fred is awesome songwriter, musician, and he was just so versatile. But the same thing can be said around Kirk. Kirk brings a different energy. He brings a different perspective. Fred has that kind of a mature perspective of presence about his music, whereas Kirk, they're both wild. They're both different. They're both awesome. So please don't force me.
No, definitely, man. They're both great. And the joke is, it was back to back for over 2 hours. Just 90 seconds of tracks, and there wasn't a weak track. And I'm sat down there, Dulcie, and I'm thinking, look how much quality has come out of gospel music. And they're not the majority. They're just a part of what the journey that we've seen over the past 30, 40, 50 years of gospel music. Now, we go through trauma in this country as a black community. I don't hear nobody calling out any UK gospel artists. Now, yourself being around now, yeah, from the period of the Kirks and the Freds and moving on, who's to blame for that? Is it us as a gospel community, as a Christian church, or the church community? Have we not really put ourselves within the community? How have we got here? Sorry for the pressure.
I think part of the narrative, we, for some reason, find it difficult to be ourselves. And I remember being on the radio when I started, as I mentioned before, in January 1990. The music I was playing was mainly, you could say 99% American. It was very rarely any British gospel. That's not to say there wasn't gospel music, because there were many choirs, many soloists, many bands, many musicians, though the recordings were very limited. So it would be quite a while before I was able to have a full program of British gospel music. But one of the things that attracted me to doing research, because you may or may not know that I went on to study gospel music, and I did some research, because when I first started the gospel show, I did the history of gospel music. And so each week I would spend 10 minutes looking at the history, and I called it the history of gospel music. So we talked about the spirituals, talked about some of the key figures, Thomas A. Dorsey, Mahalia Jackson, and the list goes on. However, it wasn't until a little while after that I thought to myself, this is not our history. This is an African-American history.
Okay.
Because I grew up in the church. My parents, they were ministers, and like it or not, we had to be in church. So my life was consumed by church.
Amen.
After 6 weeks when I was born, I was blessed, and from there on, I remained in church. So every week, and not every week, every day of the week, I was in church. But the music we were singing wasn't the music that we were sort of owning as our own. The choruses, the old-time gospel songs that were the songs that we were singing. So the point I'm making from that is that when I'm saying this is the history of gospel music, it wasn't until long after that I realized we are talking and pushing the idea of an African American gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm making from that is that for a long time, we have been borrowing a history and we have used it as our own. And it's the same with our singing tradition. Our repertoire for many, many years has been very much American. And that's why we know them, we love them, we sing their songs.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, a question really stands out. Who are we as gospel artists and gospel music?
Who are we, guys?
And, you know, we go around the house and talk about community or tradition, but we don't know who we are. So part of the problem is this, that we've spent so long looking at other people and, you know, using their own repertoire, and we haven't built our own. So therefore, at this critical time, a crisis time, people don't know in terms of who to call necessarily. Mm-hmm. And by calling us, we have spent all the time singing a lot. The songs are coming through now. We are having some songwriters now, but there is not a catalogue. There is not a place to go to find people to be able to say, right, let's represent. We'll call on you to represent gospel music. What we are doing, we're collaborating, aren't we? We like to collaborate. Yeah. What's that? That's that new song, the Blessing.
Oh,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can only collaborate. So, a bit harsh, you might say, but we haven't been ourselves for a long while. Now, things are changing, but we've spent a lot of time being like other people or peddling on other people and looking to other people, like the Americans, to affirm who we are.
So, when I've said in the past, we're karaoke singers on stage, is that a harsh statement? Oh, you're not gonna go. I said, you know,
karaoke is tough because some of the karaoke singers they can't sing.
Okay.
And that's the difference. Whereas we can sing, we're talented, we have got what it takes to do gospel music. If only we would embrace that a bit more. Turn off the CDs, that's old money, isn't it? Turn off the recording and create our own.
Wow. So, you know, what has, okay, no, that's fantastic, because I think that, you know, I've called it gospel karaoke, you know what I mean? So you can beat me up on that one. So I'll take that rebuke on that one. So, you know what I mean?